Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Nanya Sim. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you all are doing great. Okay, there are videos going around about white women crying about, like how they are suffering and other people in other countries are having a better life than them, right? And these a lot of black women were able to elaborate this, and I appreciate how they took their time to talk on it because sometimes some people think poverty or like some certain things is only subjected to a particular group of people. You all remember that back then they think it's only black people that that can do how many jobs just to keep up, right? Because you all know how hard black people work in organization to meet up to their other counterpart. It is not a new thing. You and I know that because I have brought also videos which I learned from you people about that, right? Now they are running helter skelter, right? Thinking that why is life so hard for them? And now they are also living that kind of life because they have to work also hard to make sure that they put food on their table. And now it's you remember something that I always say that it is the rich white people telling the poor white people that the problems are their black people. We are not your problem. You all are the cause of your problem because you all refuse to stand up for yourselves. You all refuse to speak up when it is time to speak up. You all thought it is only one people that would, that is subject or subjected to that kind of life. Now you all are feeling it and you are crying. You better get up and do the job because it is really going to be harder for everybody, not just only people that look like me in general. Let's get into this.
Please stay for this because I've reached the part in this whole class consciousness part where I'm just filled with the most impotent rage and I'm talking that white hot, I need to sink my teeth and into something and scream kind of rage. Because what do you mean that it never had to be this hard for us? What do you mean in other countries they don't have to spend 20% of their paycheck on groceries? What do you mean in other countries everyone can own homes because they're not paying $2,000 a month in rent, or that their mortgages aren't their entire paycheck? What do you mean that people in China work one job and they don't even work 40 hours and they can easily afford their life? And then I'm over here working 60 hours a week, just me as a single parent, to barely make ends meet, and I'm penny pinching every single second, and there's so much of life that my kid misses out on and that I miss out on because of money and work and no social support net. And you mean to tell me that it didn't have to be like this? They keep us in these chains on purpose, and it never had to be like this. I did everything right. I went to college. I had to drop out of college to take care of my mom when she was sick because, again, no social services, no safety nets. My dad worked his whole life and died and left everything to my mom. My mom was disabled and she lived on credit, and she barely made ends meet, and she did everything she was supposed to. And I did everything I was supposed to, and it just keeps getting worse. It was never supposed to be like this. And I'm so angry that it is. Because what do you mean? I've spent so much of my life working so hard to scrape by, and it never had to be like that. My suffering was at the expense of someone else becoming wealthy because they could. And I am so angry about this. It can't stay like this. It doesn't have to stay like this.
The amount of white people, since we've all gone to Red Note and have made Chinese friends, the amount of white people who are coming back to this app and saying that we're being scammed and, oh my goodness, that we shouldn't be living like this in America. Oh my God. You had to get on a Chinese app to learn that life isn't meant to be hard, and the way that we live life in these United States is difficult as hell, because that's by design. These are all manufactured problems. Y'all had to get on an app made by the Chinese to learn that. But when black people were trying to tell y'all this,
all the white people going on Xiaohongshu, and they're like, oh my God, China, they have everything. Their food is cheap. They have good schools, blah, 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 blah. Why don't we have that? Racism. It's because of racism, babe. Yeah. And post-Reconstruction era South, after those traitors lost the Civil War, the South was devastated. This is just an example. The South was devastated, like in every way you could think of. The Northern troops had burned their farmland. They had blown up railroad tracks so you couldn't transport anything. They liberated all the enslaved people. They had burned their houses to the ground, okay? The South was... it was so bad. Northern newspapers were sending down photographers to take photos, to take photographs, and they were going back up north, and the editors and photographers were selling little books to other Northerners, like poverty corn. That's how bad the South was after the Reconstruction era. Oh, after the Civil War, during the Reconstruction era. Do you know what white Southerners' primary concern was? Not housing and feeding and clothing their families, not trying to rebuild their economy. No. It was making sure they inflicted massive physical, mental, and economic terror on formerly enslaved people in the South. That was their modus. That was their modus operandi. That was very important to them. More important than rebuilding their economy was harassing black people. And that's just an example of the centuries white people have spent cutting off their own toes just so we don't have anything. But the gag is, now you don't have anything either. We don't have anything, but neither do you. And that's why we don't have nice things. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Like, what do you mean in other countries they don't have to spend 20% of their paycheck on groceries? What do you mean in other countries everyone can own homes because they're not paying $2,000 a month in rent, or that their mortgages aren't like their entire paycheck? What do you mean that people in China work one job and they don't even work 40 hours and they can easily afford their life? And then I'm over here working 60 hours a week, just me as a single parent, to like barely make ends meet, and I'm penny pinching every single second, and like there's so much of life that my kid misses out on and that I miss out on.
I'm gonna just cut it off right there. Dry up them fucking crocodile tears, Sarah. I don't care. I don't care. You know why I don't care? Because this is white people's fault. This is white people's fault. And now y'all want to boo-hoo and cry because y'all done got on that Chinese app and they done put the Uno reverse card on y'all ass and held up that mirror and told y'all, no, y'all are the brokies. Not us. We not the brokies. It's y'all. And y'all got to face the cold, hard reality that y'all have made this bed and now y'all got to sit in it. No, take accountability. Don't sit here and boo-hoo and cry and get on that TikTok and talk in the internet talking about what are we going to do? What are we going to do? No, what are y'all going to do? Because black people have been telling y'all for fucking decades. We have been protesting. We have been doing everything for all these fucking decades. And y'all have sat back and reaped the rewards thinking y'all was a part of the club because y'all was white. Y'all thought this shit was about race. No, it's always been about class. And y'all were never a part of the club. Y'all make up 60% of this country's population. There's no we. It's y'all. Every minority could vote or go against something that, or go for something that we know is good for the people. And y'all would turn it down because y'all have the overwhelming majority. So it's no we, it's y'all. Fix y'all shit. I know y'all don't like to take accountability for nothing, but now it's time. Y'all over there boohooing crying because y'all seeing the Chinese Walmart and they over there paying $3 for a whole goddamn bag of groceries. Meanwhile, you got to pay $200 and barely fill up your grocery cart. See, all those things you're boohooing and crying about, FDR made that happen. But then it all went away in 1967. Why did I say 1967? What does that correlate to? Oh, the Civil Rights Act was passed. Integration happened. And then white people stripped away, or or voted against themselves to strip away all public services and entities and all those great things that y'all had prior to integration because y'all didn't want black people to have the shit. So y'all gave all that up in the 1980s when Reagan created trickle-down economics because y'all didn't want us to have. He gave us crack and trickle-down economics. And y'all was cool with that. Y'all made a deal with the devil and now y'all got to accept the consequences of y'all fucking actions. Y'all had affordable housing. Y'all didn't have fucking credit scores. Y'all didn't have you can send your kids to college for the free or for the low. We had advanced and effective public transit and services in this country. But y'all gave all of it away because y'all didn't want niggas to have access. Y'all fought so hard with things like redlining and all these different things to hold black people back to keep us from getting a piece of the pie. Whole time they taking y'all pie. And now y'all got to face the music. And y'all don't, now you want to boo-hoo. Y'all let them pass the Patriot Act in the act of protecting us from terrorists. Use that Islamophobia against y'all dumbass. Y'all let them further push the Patriot Act in 2019 because of that the immigration that y'all was so afraid of, all the immigrants, right? Just taking away all y'all fucking right. Now y'all want to point and what are we gonna do? No, what are y'all gonna do? Because when black people out here marching for police brutality, who they just do things to us and write a fake ass police report and get away with it and nothing happens, you think or when we did ride when things like Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin happened, and the original Black Lives Matter activists, that the original movement that got hijacked, you know what I'm saying, the original activists that was out there on the ground got took out by the police. Oh no, y'all ain't say nothing then. When we telling y'all that they're interfering in our freedoms and our rights, but no, it's black people, so we ain't. It's not us, it's them. Well, I'm not. I shouldn't have to pay for the sins of my fathers. I didn't own any slaves. I'm not racist. Yes, but you're compliant to the system and you're complacent and you're okay with the system that gave you an edge up against us. Go back to R. Kelly or the things that was going on at Nickelodeon or with Harvey Weinstein, all that weird shit, right? There were people still giving up their kids to that, selling making deals, still going up there knowing everything that was going on, putting their children, putting their livelihoods, cameramen, people going to get opportunities and jobs. They did not care so long as it wasn't them. And that was y'all this entire time up until now. Go back and look at the prequel to the Purges. Where did they start? How did they get people to approve some shit like the Purge? They started in the hood. They started with black people. They started with the disenfranchised. So when y'all turn a blind eye and y'all let that shit go on with black people and we getting our ass whipped by police and we getting our rights taken away and we getting profiled and we getting this, and they're slowly implementing that shit and they were slowly draining that shit from y'all. It look like, come on, bruh. You would have thought y'all would have woke up when that shit happened in North Carolina and that hurricane went up there and fucked them up. But no, what did they turn into? Oh, well, it's Biden. Whole time North Carolina is a red fucking state. Oh, like your local governments fucking failed y'all. So no, there's no, what are we gonna do? No, it's what y'all gonna do. Grab y'all fucking nuts and go do something. Because we, black people, we tired of being y'all fucking crash dummies and going out there and then they give y'all a little piece of the pie, then y'all go back and y'all let us out there to fucking drown. No, y'all go do something.
Oh, and never forget, we could have had Bernie, but y'all said he was a socialist.
So I just saw a post where a young white woman is upset and crying because she's understanding how easy they have it in China. And she doesn't understand why, as Americans, we have to work so hard just to have so little. She doesn't understand why we're spending 20% of our income on groceries. And she goes on to list a lot of problems. And she's like, it didn't need to be this hard. What do you mean we didn't have to do it like this? And I started to empathize with her, but then in the back of my mind, I thought, girl, this isn't new. Why is this new to you? And then I realized for quite some time, a lot of white people in this country, the issues that black people had, they thought they were just black people issues. When black people were spending 20% of their income on groceries, white people thought, oh, that's a black people problem. When black people had to work 2 jobs to make ends meet, white people thought, that's unfortunate. And now that the black people's problems have reached white people have hot tears and they don't understand how it came to be this way. Now, this is one of the reasons why it's important in any country or any place to listen to those who are marginalized. Those people are kind of like a canary in the coal mine, letting you know, hey, we got some issues. You can't see it, and maybe it's invisible to you, but they are on the way. I just saw a post where a young white woman is upset and crying because she's understanding how easy they have it in China, and she doesn't understand why, as Americans, we have to work so hard just to have so little.
Racism would be the answer. So this all goes back to what they call drained pool politics. Once integration became the law of the land with cases like Brown v. Board, a lot of white people moved to get rid of public services and goods like swimming pools. And that meant they had fewer resources. They had fewer third places. And it was fine back in the day because they would just pay. They would pay to go to country clubs, which is why there's a proliferation of country clubs in this country right now. But they put all those kinds of things that used to be public services behind a paywall because then they could just say, well, you can't pay, or this is a private club. It doesn't matter if you can pay. We're not going to allow you in. It's our choice. It's not a public service. It's not a government run thing. Just so black people wouldn't have access. But over time, the cost of these services rose higher and higher until most white people cannot afford them. But it's not just that. I mean, this idea goes all the way back to things like Social Security. Do you know white people refused to vote it through back during the New Deal until two groups of people were not eligible? Domestic labor, so that would be like maids, and agriculture workers who didn't own the land. So in other words, if you were a sharecropper, like most black people in the South, or a maid, like the women, you couldn't get Social Security. Once they put those provisions in, all of a sudden, they could have it all day long. White people in this country have always been obsessed with the idea of black people not having things. And that's why they're in the mess that they're in. It's kind of nice to be able to say what I want on here. The reason why countries, the Scandinavian ones, Denmark and Sweden and whatnot, have such great policies is in part because those countries are homogenous, or mostly so. And they're not trying to investigate who's benefiting from the free child care and the universal health care and all that. They are moving on. We could have a great standard of living in this country, but white people are so obsessed, so angry at the idea other people who are not white are going to have that same great standard of living. They would rather live in squalor. It's why the Affordable Health Care Act got gutted. The utter terror that people who don't look like you are going to be able to live decently. What you pay for. I mean, politicians have tried to convince white voters for years. This is in their interest. It was in their interest to not have to pay for these goods and services. And now you fell for it. They convinced you it was communist or socialist to have a decent standard of living, to have the taxes that you pay go to something other than endless war, to actually go towards the maintenance of the nation and making our lives better. But, I hope you enjoy it. Rather than letting everybody have a turn with the ball, you've decided to pop the ball and you're complaining, there's no ball, there's no ball. Indeed, there's not. And if we got a ball tomorrow, and you saw the black people and others playing with it, you'd probably pop it again. So there's a direct correlation. It's not that black problems are just starting to suddenly leak over and affect white people. It's that the intentional negative economic and social policies white people put in place to oppress black people have now rebounded on them. Everything people complain about nowadays. How come there are no more third spaces? How come we don't have anywhere to go but work and school? How come we can't afford property? How come this and how come that? All of those have a direct correlation to post-integration policies and choices. Why is college so expensive? Racism. Black people started going and they raised the tuition out of all scope. It used to be practically free to go to school. How come I can't find a decent job? Racism. The minute black people integrated those unions for the factories that had been operating in this nation for decades, and black people could only be non-unionized workers or just unskilled labor, the minute we finally broke into the unions, that is when they began migrating out of cities like Detroit, first into the South for white cities, and then eventually overseas. You thought you were winning. And the hollowing out of Chicago and Detroit and etc. don't just affect black people. The reverberations of that crisis have affected the entire Midwest, and look at the condition of the Rust Belt today. The hole you dig for somebody else will be the one you fall in. That's literally biblical. If people had focused on trying to get the whole standard of living for the country up, even if they had just focused on their own ends, but not tried to punish anyone else, this whole country would be in a better position today. And now look, I hope this serves as a valuable lesson to you. It probably won't. Because that's why the last election went the way it went. They're still trying to convince you somebody else is to blame for the problems that are self-engineered. And they tried to convince you that by punishing someone else, the mysterious boogeyman stole your cheese. And if you beat him up, if you cut his wages, if you deport him, you'll get your cheese back. It's not true. This learning curve is getting steeper and steeper, though. I am genuinely interested to see what happens on Red Note next. I think this will be the first time a lot of Americans have unfettered, unpropagandized access to so many citizens from a nation we've been taught is bad. That inherently they're doing things wrong and that they're oppressed and we need to help them and save them. This will be the first time a lot of Americans have had that much direct contact. And the puzzle pieces are starting to click into place. You know, this might be the making of something. We will see. That's it. Like and follow for more. As long as you can. I hope it's longer than we think.
Baby, my For You page is popping today. It is full of beautiful, melanated black people letting white people know why they have it so much better in China. Letting white people know why you can't afford a home, why you can't afford insurance. Beautiful, black, melanated people are letting white people know we can't have nice things because of your racism. White people been over there on that Red Note app and they are sick. They are learning that Americans have been living in squalor. White people are sick. They are learning that for 400 years, black people lived in slavery. But in 2024, they are realizing that they are too slaves. They are sick. They are twisted. Listen, when Donald Trump came out and said, why do we keep getting people from these shithole countries? My response was, bitch, America is the shithole country. And white people are learning the truth. For the past 4 years, they've been fighting woke. And the Red Note app, Xiang Hong Shu, has made them the wokest people of 2025.
I want everybody this year when they go see their physicians for their annual checkup to request some blood work to be done and find out what tests can be done to measure the level of anti-blackness that's embedded in your motherfucking blood, and find out if there's some level of concoction that you can sip on to flush that bitch out. Because I will never understand the shit that I see on this internet sometimes. In its last days of TikTok, y'all are still on y'all bullshit. The hypocrisy is wild. And I know a lot of people was always going to say, oh, everything ain't about race. Y'all always try to, minimalize it or make it boil down to race. And yeah, it actually is about race, because every single time there are two groups of people and or two individuals that are doing the exact same thing, have the exact same thoughts and actions, y'all never have a logical explanation as to why it's acceptable for one person or party to do it versus the other. So then it causes us to do some level of process of elimination. What are the differences between these two sets of people and or groups? And the only two things that always seem to pop up is either these people are not black and or they're a man. Like, be so fucking for real. The hypocrisy is outstanding. I don't know which one is worse at this point. I don't know if it's the conversations about black Americans going over to the Red Note app and calling out the cultural appropriation that's going on there and being told not to bring that woke shit over to somebody else's app. Or if it's how Bad Bunny is such this astounding, remarkable artist that gave us such a beautiful homage to Latina culture with his latest album versus Beyonce being a propagandist. Let me know, because this shit eating me the fuck up. It's acceptable and it makes sense to believe that Bad Bunny, a multimillionaire, has the ability to stay rooted and connected in his culture. He has the ability to make an astounding piece of artwork that I actually thoroughly enjoyed his album, where he can understand that this is not going to be for everybody. Specifically, this is a target audience. This is a homage to his island, to his people, Puerto Rico. He absolutely understands that all Latinas are not going to be able to get on board. He's going to speak a language that some, unfortunately, Latinos have forgotten. They're not going to listen to him properly. This album is about basically resisting U.S. colonialism. But for some odd reason, when Cowboy Carter, an homage to black culture, black Southern culture came out, it was propaganda. It was problematic. Because it wasn't for everybody. Black people go on to Red Note app to try to enjoy something new, resisting what US is doing to the TikTok ban. And they peep how their culture is just being used consistently. People are walking around with outfits, music, and hairstyles and stuff like that has no level of connection to their culture. And when black people are able to acknowledge it, point it out, possibly even laugh at it, never really spread any level of vitriol, there's a level of hatred that comes back, and then you sit there and you weaponize our terminology again of being woke so black people can seem problematic. Yet Asian people in the community, or Asian communities, or certain individuals can come onto TikTok and express their sentiments on how they find some of the memes and their music that's being used distasteful. Y'all need to seek help. Y'all are deliberate in your hypocrisy. Like y'all choose to be obtuse with things, and I just don't understand why. What is the level of hatred for black pride, for gatekeeping black culture from black people, especially if black women are saying it? I will never understand it. I will never understand the mental gymnastics that y'all play. But in reality, I kind of do understand it. The reality is that y'all just believe that black culture is something that should be exported and used for all. And then you try to reduce it and make it seem like it doesn't exist because if you want to be able to use it at your free will. You don't feel that black people should try to gain ownership of their shit. And that helps your ability to try to belittle us and our contributions to our country and try to erase us from ever existing. While you hold on to yours with dear fucking life. It's amazing. Black culture is not for everybody to be used. Black culture is not. It should be gatekept by fucking black people. Black people should be able to take pride in the astounding culture that they
This is all I got from this video. And when I saw this video, at first I was like, if you all remember, I have been hammering on something like, it is the rich white people telling poor white people that black people are their problem instead of them coming together to fight capitalism. Some of you all are so emotional. Some of you all put feelings over anything. Some of you all have refused to understand that if they can do it to me, they can also do it to you. It is just a matter of time. Because at some point, they may end up not having people to do it to, And then you are the only one out there. And they are absolutely going to do you the same thing. It's just like the way I tell conservatives, all these black magas that you all think that you are immune because sometimes you see them acting very weird, acting like it's all about them and like they are untouchable. But when most things happen, it touches them first before it touches every other person. Now, let me tell you something. If somebody does not respect you, right? Okay, let's say I am a black African woman. Now, when they do not, and people, they do not like Africans, right? Or maybe Nigerian to be precise, because I am Nigerian, right? And then when another Nigerian is out there doing like it's all his world. See, when they start with me, you think they will get to you too. Because they don't care. They only care about themselves. And that is how it's been. I have been screaming this. And now it is touching them. Because if you all remember, all these years, it's been black thing, people that are in the hood, People that are like, black people have to work how many jobs to get what they want. Black people have to put up so much struggles. Black people have to do this. Black people have to do that to make ends meet and all that. Like the woman said, at some point, it was a black thing, but as it is no longer a black thing. It is even them thing right now, right? And they are feeling it. Why do I have to spend my 20% salary on groceries, right? Or why do I have to spend my 20% of my salary on buying gas or something? Or maybe on electricity and the rest of it. Now, people's eyes are clearing and they are beginning to ask questions. They are also beginning to see how uncomfortable they've been living all this while, thinking it is a black people thing. Now it is touching your eyes. Something that I have learned about life, sometimes when something is happening and you are seeing it and you refuse to speak up, right? When it comes, it is going to sweep your feet. Now, one thing that I am going to let you own, I don't know what is making this thing shake, but I'm sorry about that. In case if the camera is shaking, I am trying to position well. So let me tell us something that we are going to take home today. When you see something going wrong and you are an adult and you are in the position to speak up, right? And you start hiding it, or you refuse to speak up, or you refuse to ignore it, or you say it is none of your business, that is also part of ignoring it, right? Trust me, the day it is going to blow you, it will blow really hard. Some people do not understand this. That is life, right? You might be escaping it, like, it's not your destiny and all that. You might be escaping it, but one day, you definitely will feel it. And when you feel it, you can understand why you have not been speaking up. Some people think that, like each time we talk about privilege and all that, some people are so quick to tell you that they do not have any privilege. They grew up poor and that they will tell you that they grew up poor and that he or she might have worked so hard for everything he gets and all that. That you are poor is not even like, who cares? Right? Who cares? I don't care. It is not about being poor. There are so many thousands of things you enjoy that I or other people, maybe black people and black people in general, maybe not say other people, black people are not able to enjoy because of, yes, but you can enjoy that no matter how poor you are. You definitely will stand out because you are kind of immune to some certain things. The same people that will tell you, I am not privileged, and you tell them, can you give up this your color for like, and then you see how they cannot give it up because they know how immune they are with that skin color. It is part of the privilege. So if you do not understand the meaning of privilege, just shh and let people speak. Because some people have not even been privileged at all their lives. You hear me right? So this is more like a lesson. It's a huge lesson. It is time to start deconstructing. It is time to unlearning. It is time to learn, right? So you all can also do the same, right? Sit back and ask yourselves questions. And then whatever comes, the question you ask yourself, whatever you get as an answer will determine how you are going to do the work, if you are going to do the work or not. But if you choose not to do the work, trust me, you know what they get, canker worms and all that. They are about to start eating. And when they start eating, they are not leaving anybody behind. Everybody is also going to experience it. When bed bug, when they invest a house, you know how it is. You know how hard you work to get rid of it. You work so hard. So this is how it is. You all have to wake up. You all also have to buckle up. Because not just only waking up, when you wake up, what are you doing? When you wake up, all these will determine how you all are going to survive it. Now, for the last time, it is not a black thing. It is a general thing right now. I am glad you all are experiencing it, and more is yet to come. Not until you all start speaking up where you are supposed to speak up and stop being ignorant. And okay, I remember that I've told you people about somebody that said, I want to start talking about anti this thing that is going on all over. I mean, like, so we can deconstruct our racism and the anti-blackness and other things, right? But it was like, I want to do this, but I don't want my family to know it. Why? Because they are rate deceased. So who do you want to start the job with? Me? Is it me that you want to start the job with? You don't want your friends to know that you are doing the job. So who do you want them to know that you are doing the job? You are not ready to do the job. And one thing is that when you all are ready to do it, you definitely will know by yourself that you are ready to do it. But when you are not ready to do it, still stay back. Let the canker worms continue to eat up. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.